Hey there, everyone, y'all in the Patapon Club Zone, Play Zone, Castle area, circumference. This is a late video because of goat-related shenanigans yesterday. Just kind of like destroyed my face and everything all around it. But things got better today, as maybe you'll find out if you find out that this is released thanks to the goat video. I don't know. Before I start, I feel like I need to address something that some of y'all I might realize that if you look on the side, you'll see that my amount of Patreon money per month seems to have declined significantly, as well as the amount of patrons. That I don't think you need to panic. This kind of coincides with the thing that for a while Patreon wasn't very accurate in depicting amounts plus peeps, because what happens that a lot of people would sign up and pledge an amount, except like there's wrong credit card info and or like there's not funds or anything, and the payments would just get refused and you wouldn't get any money anyways. So Patreon did a thing to make the amount more accurate, because what you are seeing now is a lot more accurate to what I would be receiving typically on the average month. So yeah, no sense of panic, although it is kind of a thing. But anyways, I guess now we're gonna find out. Our request today was please draw me a patchouli, so I will. Fact is, I've never, in order to avoid any favoritism, I do not have listed the names of the people that are involved when the art request is. So I don't know who made the request. So I don't know who you have to blame. Anyways, looks like we're going to have to start. Here we go. Fariel had a whole bunch of Undertale related questions and stuff last week, but he sent me the very last part just as I was, unfortunately, recording the video itself, so it got missed. And it goes like this. So, hey now, Cal, for a final question, how was your vacation? I think you got the information you need in the last video, but basically, it was pretty well, it was pretty cool, had a good time, spent some times with a friend, with some family, saw nature, some grass, breathed some air that is fresh, saw actual stars in the sky. It's pretty good. Did you have fun? Yes. Actually, one last question. One last multiple choice question. Fabulous voice. Would you smooch a ghost? Fabulous voice. Heck yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah. I don't know what that refers to at all, other than I'm assuming that there is a ghost in Undertale and he's all about smooching. That's a weird thing, because ghosts, they don't have lips. They're just like this big old grape thing, that and it has like applesauce on it, and then you mix in some mashed potatoes, and you're like, hello, ghost, and then there's a big party, and everyone is disappointed. And that's my experience with ghosts. So if your experience differs, please refer back to the laundroman at 4:80 p.m. sharp. Zach! Oh, hi, Alcal. I know you have a lot of reads, so I just thought I'd contribute to the problem. You should draw a super neat car with a taco that was added to the request list. What is your opinion on a nice, freshly boiled egg? It's alright, although I prefer my eggs in omelet form. Love you, your local taco salesman. Well, I appreciate your harsh work conditions there. The salesman, the wandering salesman, is a job I never would be able to do. Although I don't know, like if you're wandering around and selling tacos, that seems to be that's probably an easier sell than trying to sell like dandruff, or like what they actually do sell, like knives. Why are knives so often sold door to door rather than like in a store, like a decent product should be? Because from what I know, like door to door knives are actually still pretty alright knives. It's just that for some reason the chosen media to sell the ware is like the most skeevyish, most I don't want really to see you right now-ish way. Like, I don't like going to a store and not buy anything as such. I don't like when the store comes to me when I don't want to buy anything. That has nothing to do with anything. Mikofire, just remember, you asked for this. Feel free to edit out. Berkeley, 1. If you were allowed to commit one crime without fear of... Hey, I think you... No. It was similar, but it was not. If you were allowed to commit one crime without fear of repercussions, what would you do? I think I will ask something about what crime would I want to be committed for. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing. If I'm going to be committing a crime, I still hope it's a relatively victimless crime, you know? Like some kind of, you know, like just, like maybe something that, targets corporation, like, you know, corporate espionage. Like, at least, you know, no one actually gets hurt. Only rich people, and they don't get hurt. They just, you know, lose one payment that they get to not do to their designer drugs or whatever. So it's like, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, you know, something like that. Yeah, corporate espionage. That would mean I get to be corporate spy. That's all the funs of being a spy, but none of the dangerous gunplay. It's like, man... It is the fun times of the modern times that you can have pretty rad jobs with like none of the danger that came with. Of course, there's still danger, but like it's nowhere near on the level of having a gun shoved in your face and then asked to sing songs of which you only partially know the lyrics, and even then you tend to screw up on the chorus more often than not, because the first time you heard the song you misheard the lyrics and now you can only hear it that way. I think we all can share in that shared environment. 2. What are some of the most annoying video game enemies? Homing enemies in games where your mobility is limited. I'll give you the classic example of the flying birds in Ninja Gaiden. They're flying everywhere, they're extremely mobile, and your ninja, even though is allegedly a ninja, is super not mobile and just kind of sits there and gets pecked to death. Like, if you're just purely asking for annoying enemy, that is perfectly it. Like, that is the very definition of annoying, you know? Persistent piece of poo that just sticks around and destroys you to death. 3. Play Undertale. Speaking of conspiracy theories, play Undertale. Do you believe play Undertale in subliminal messages? Play Undertale. Subliminal messages have been scientifically proven to work. Depends what you mean by subliminal messages, however. And it depends by working, depends how you define that. Like, for example, upside down, like reverse, like lyrics that are upside down in songs, that has basically no effect, scientifically. But like sliding in an image every 24 frames in a movie will subconsciously people will like, you know, you slide in a picture of Coke from the, like, you know, from the drink every 24 frames, and subconsciously, yeah, you know what, after watching the movie you're probably gonna be a little bit thirstier than you would have otherwise. The effect is not as powerful as, like, you know, media and stuff that uses that tends to like to romanticize it, but there is a non-zero impact. And obviously, like pretty much every single thing in the universe, the effect will differ in intensity from one person to another. 4. Do you feel all the requests to play certain games to be overwhelming? Sometimes, yes. Now that there's a whole vote things, it removes actually a huge amount of pressure, so I don't really have to think about it all that much anymore, and it's fine. But it always kind of makes me sad a little bit when someone, like, often people will propose a game just in the very badly timed space-time, and then I'll just forget about it because I am bombarded with requests all the time forever. But that's just the way things are. 5. What does one life matter? Everything. The value of one life is the same of all life. Kind of. Do not take this literally. 6. A powerful shaman delivers your mail and informs you that you have the power to shapeshift to your spirit animal. What is it? And what will you do with this power? There is no escape from the music. And Kizimiskia means question, and it's not a swear word. I don't know what's my spirit animal. I don't think you get to choose your spirit animal, yo. Like, you're supposed to go on a nature quest, and then you're like, your spirit animal comes to see you, and you're like, hey there, spirit animal, how's it going? And he gives you a high five. Yumaniki OSD, Another Dream number 1. Yumaniki is a game about weird people, including a crying eyeball, and it's sad. And this one man here could probably use glasses. I don't know. Yeah, like, you don't choose your spirit animal, so I don't know what my spirit animal is. I wish it's something cool like a bear or rhinoceros, but that's not for me to choose. The spirit animal, much like your height and your eye color and the shape of your coccyx, it's all things that you're born with, whether you want to or not. And, I cannot answer that as such. Like, you know, I feel it's unfair to just go ahead and choose something I think is super rad automatically to people who are stuck with lame, you know, a lame spirit animal. Like, what if, you know, your spirit animal is a clam? There you go. You can't do anything. You just gotta do the best of what you can with it. You're gonna transform into a clam and spy on industry because they keep having fancy dinner? There you go. If life gives you lemon, turn into a clam. That's what I say. Kaika, scenario! Let's say you're just rolling down the drive-thru lane in your Mercedes like you always do on Wednesdays. You can't sensually speak into the ordering box to order your order, small fries and a piece of cola in that order. After an initial moment of silence, you hear the flabbergasted employee's trembling voice ask, "Hello? It's late in the evening, about 11:38, and there are no cars behind you. Do you turn around and flee to keep your secret identity safe, or do you proceed and have it forever tarnished?" I proceed, except I try to pretend that, no, I just deny. It's denial. So, oh, wow, Cal, who the hell is that? That sounds like some big lame. Please, come on. Can you not tell? I'm a guy that drives a car. Internet people don't drive cars, and hopefully he'll believe me. I'll try to slightly change my voice like this, so hopefully he will recognize me. It's like he's just gonna think, oh, okay. You probably mistaken me because of the distortion in the ordering box. And he's gonna believe me, and we're gonna be best friends and go on a picnic. Also, second question, after I've actually watched it, I'm gonna get best friends with someone for whom I've made believe I'm someone else. I don't know, that's not a very, that seems like an abusive friendship. Anyways, also, second question, after I actually watched the video, sorry. Cereal might not be a soup, but is choreographed wrestling a dance? Definitely. Definitely. There's an amount of what's the word I'm looking for here? You know, there's an amount of an improvisation in wrestling, but nonetheless, it's the same, you know? It's very symbolic, very specific moves done in an order with a partner. I wouldn't just call it a dance, I would call it like some weird distortion of ballet more than anything. And I don't care what you bring forth, people watching this or listening to this, my opinion will not change. Pizza Pony has the world's hugest paragraph. Let me just show you this here, the sheer size of this thing. See, it says, so, this is gonna be the Pizza Pony hour. It's gonna last, not an hour though. And just so happens that the Yuki Noki song just ended because his music starting with the song. So I'm gonna load up the song. I'm gonna put on the link in the YouTube.com on my Firefox thing. World of Warcraft Invincible. Invincible was the steed of Arthas Menethil, both in life and death. He was the skeletal seed that Arthas rode through Warcraft 3 Ring of Chaos. In Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne. Invincible's steed, except he's not invincible at all, he's dead, but I guess he's... Is does it count as invincible if you turn to a skeleton? That's my question to all y'all tonight. Anyways, music. Big old paragraph of words and stuff by Pizza Pony. For my favorite things, you were right about the first two. The mentioned only a few times was Toho. Remember when I asked you like 6 Toho questions in the guise of 1 question? Hell no, I don't. Good times. The last inside the box one is Mario. I include all Mario-related things to that, both official and fan-made. I mean, who would watch your videos without being a fan of Mario? That's true, and honestly, when you asked that, I almost said Mario, but I didn't want to look like a fool. So here we are. Instead, by not answering and not saying what was on my mind, I look like a fool. This is how irony works if you twist the definition of things around. But to other things about putting non-questions in my questions. 1, as you said, you read all things put here on Patreon, except the questions as to not spoil them. So one way or another, you are reading everything at one point or another. 2, a subject doesn't have to be proposed as a question to spark discussion. And that's true. I've realized over time that a lot of peeps ask very specific questions, but more often than not, I think it's meant more to be sort of a springboard towards speaking towards a subject. Unfortunately, due to the extreme vast amount of questions I get, I tend to cut short sometimes maybe what I would go on about. And sometimes I just flat out just don't have anything to say about a thing. But obviously this is something you'll never know unless you unless you try to ask. But anyways, yeah, I get it that sometimes something is asked not necessarily because you want an answer, but to spring a conversation that could be interesting in another way, if that makes sense. Because I don't know if it did the way I formulated there. As I can recall at least a few times in these videos where the mentioning of something leads you to giving your thoughts, whether on a mentioned subject or a tangent. 3, lastly, whoa man, I think you're taking things a smidge too serious with what you think my expectations are. You have already earned my viewership, my money, and my respect years ago. There's no right and wrong answers or word of my questions or statement. 4, it's funner that way. I don't know what you're referring to anymore. As a CEO, as a co-CEO of Raocore, I suppose that you read my questions and statement. That is as long as it's okay with my fellow CEOs. Yeah, you kind of lost me there. Sometimes, y'all gotta remember, there's a week between when I read, like, when I record one and I record the other. I mean, my memory is alright. It's not perfect. It has bits. It is weaker about against and before. Against is an opposition to before, since never. What? Answers 1. In regard of how much focus to give to drawing personally, I'm very patient, but others may not be, so you should probably try to finish a drawing per video, if able. We should all ask more questions so the video is longer, thus more time for drawing. Simple logic. Not quite, because more often than not, the longer time sinks are stuff that makes me go outside of the video. But more importantly, Willhard did make me realize that in a thing that I didn't copy for here, that like a lot of people have made explicit, requests for art, and due to the nature, like the random nature by which I select what I decide to draw, some people have been waiting disproportionately long for their requests. And for that, like, I do apologize, but I hope y'all understand why and how I'm doing this. But that did convince me that, yeah, I should at the very least attempt to actually finish when I start, on a per video basis. I just sometimes I feel that it's not good to rush for no reason other than to rush, but I'll agree. Try to put more focus on it, and I try to draw, like sometimes, there have been swatches where there'd be several minutes where there's basically nothing happening on screen. Sometimes I just get kind of caught up on the actual things being said, but I do apologize for that nonetheless. Where am I? I don't know. There's huge block. 2. Favorite molecule is H2O. The possibilities of what you can do with it are near infinite. 3. As to why I spent so much money towards you, Will. That's just your benefit of being my number one favorite person on the internet, and I say that with sincerity. Man, this is getting embarrassing. And I watch, well, used to. A lot of people kind of found it wasn't possible to keep up with everyone. If I were to count you as a franchise and compare you to my top 4 favorites, well, it'd probably be a 5-way tie. I'm very indecisive on this. Alright. 4. For fan mail video, I can vaguely see where you might feel the pressure, but come on, this should be a time for relaxing yourself. The real pressure should have come from making regular videos and garnering a fan base. Afterwards, it's just you receiving the rewards for your hard work. You don't need to be in character, because after all, the name on the package is addressed to Samuel, not Aocow. That mostly goes for those Patreon videos too. And as a suggestion, you should just upload them as unlisted videos and provide a link to whoever is interested. See, okay, so there's one thing I think needs to be straightened out. I think that throughout this video series, it has been shown that I have no idea what Patchouli's hat looks like. Let's go do some research. That's like, if there's something that has been clear, is that for the most part, like, I do not bear a lot. Toho? Don't be, please. Oh, okay, the stupid hat. Alright, got it. Is that I don't bear a lot of opinion on most things that I feel matter, you know? But, and I'm a very easygoing guy in terms of what people are willing to do, what people do out there in life, how they decide to occupy their time, etc. Turns out that it's kind of the opposite if I am referring to myself. I am extremely demanding of me. And, like, if I'm making a video that's bad, I know a lot of people will be forgiving, say, no, it happened once, whatever, it's alright, but I wouldn't let myself live it down. I'm kind of perfectionist to a fault, like a lot of creatives. Like, I'm never happy after a while with basically anything I do. Like, I've already went about this, and the fact is, that counts for video too. I expect, no matter what I do, if it's good enough for the internet, it needs to have a certain threshold of entertainability. And if it doesn't attain that, then no, then I shouldn't put it on the internet, period. And this includes random little stuff and little silly things, but I don't necessarily mean funny, but at the very least interesting. And that includes like setting aside time for a fan box opening or something. I can't help it. I'll never be able to help it. That's always going to be true. That's just how I am. That's just how I was programmed when I was constructed in a shed as the closest AI to humanity that was possible to do at a time back in the 80s. That's just how it goes. Where was I? Alright, question. Yeah, after all that, you've got your paragraph of question here. There are questions here too! So, speaking on the character of Raocow, it's obvious to see a difference between Google video era and current. Generally less, I guess goofy is the best word. Though the change was gradual, is there a game or time frame where you think the turning point was? And was it a conscious decision or natural subconscious thing? The turning point is when I stopped relying on save state. Basically, what happens is that while I was relying on save states to carry me through games, I didn't have to pay attention to what I was doing in terms of video games at all. So instead, I was, just being a clown. Like, it didn't start that way, but very soon, like, after I'd say Second Reality Project 2, which is when I start to open up a whole lot more, And then afterwards, yeah, afterwards, like I was way more. I was putting a lot more effort and trying to be entertaining and making sure peeps were having a fun time than actually putting the emphasis on a game. I thought, and I still had in mind to try and put as much emphasis on a game as possible, but that obviously wasn't what was going on. When I've decided to completely issue save states, suddenly my mind had, like, I had to tone it down because I had to be careful what I was doing. Every action in a game would have a repercussion. It would have, you know, a consequence. And suddenly I couldn't just fling myself into things all the time, all day, every day. And my videos did start to take a turn slightly different, where I had to ring it back because I couldn't just play on automatic. So when that happened, I don't remember. But look for when I was playing using save states all the time, and when that stopped, and that's when you will see really the big difference. Man, back then it was like sometimes I like underneath the program, the game I was playing, I would have like Earthen View or something just run through normal like random images that I found on the internet just to keep my brain, just to keep seeing different things while I was playing a game, to if ever at any time I sensed a lull in what I was saying, there we go, okay, there on the screen I'm seeing, I'm seeing a nurse, so I'm gonna make a weird, funny, non sequitur about medicine or something, and I would just bounce around that way. And honestly, it's when I'm thinking back on it, it's kind of gross. But I'm glad because I haven't done anything like that in years now. I don't know if my videos are objectively better, but they're a lot closer to something I actually want to see and actually would want to consume if I were a person that is consuming my Let's Plays. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. 2. Just testing out that read my statement thing. Is it working right? Oops, that was a question. Well, no, yeah, like nowadays, I'm more prone to putting down full non-question statement 2 if I think there's anything that could be interesting for everyone else in it. 3. For each main Sonic game that you have played, mostly just asking about 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, what is your favorite zone in each? Not individual levels, but the whole zone. Alright, account for both gameplay and music. Here's a list if you need it. 1, 2, 3, and Knuckle, I think I can do by memory. 1 would be Marble. 2 would be... Casino. 3 would be... Is 3 the one with Lava Reef? Is that Sonic and Knuckles? I think Lava Reef is Sonic and Knuckles? Yeah, so 3 would be... Ice Cap. That count? Yeah, it's there. So yeah, there you go. There you go. Don't even need no list. Somehow I remember these very important things. My brain is very good at compartmentalizing the important memories from the others. Whoopar! Now, I might come off as basic, but I gotta say, my favorite molecule is dihydrogen monoxide, more commonly known as H2O, or simply water. It's one of the most simple molecules, taking the form of 2 little hydrogen atoms cozying up on opposite sides of a larger oxygen atom, but because of this, it is one of the most easily recognizable, both in name and in structure. Everyone knows the simple H2O abbreviation, so it's very hard to go wrong here. You won't get met with odd looks from your waiter in a restaurant and ask for some good old H2O. Besides its easy recognizability, I've always been among the people who like water the most out of the 4 classic elements. Not only is water both fierce and capable of mighty destruction, but is also the biggest provider of life for humans, animals, and plants alike. It compromises so much in our world that you can thank it for our way of life being the way it currently is. Water can assume any of the three main states of matter within fairly reasonable temperatures, which is great if the liquid form isn't awesome enough for you, and it dictates the Celsius temperature scale as well. So you can also thank water for the unit of measurement that most people use every day. Not only that, but large bodies of water provide for a very fun and very refreshing activity in the summer, which can be enjoyed casually by children and people who want to relax, as well as actively by swimmers and athletes. Water is what makes our body clean every day, whether you prefer baths or showers. And come on, there's nothing better than drinking a nice, cool, tall glass of water, especially if it has ice cubes, which is another form of water working to make the main form of water even better than it usually is. Water not only sustains our ways of life, but vastly improves it. And all of this goodness comes wrapped up in the measly atom combination of 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. And that, friend, is why dihydrogen monoxide is my favorite molecule. I want everyone to take a time here, no matter what you're doing, to stop and just stand up and salute for a good 1 or 2 minutes while keeping everything that Whoopar has inserted in your brain using me as the medium. I thank you, Whoopar. Penguin-son, well, I understand what you're saying about Undertale, but man, I watched Shag's run of it, and the game really resonated with me. I'm talking seriously, it seems as close to perfect as I'd ever call a video game from an indie artist. I'd personally rate it even with the SNES giants like Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, and Chrono Trigger. That's a mighty high praise, wow. Plus, the soundtrack of this game is absolutely amazing! Maybe it's just me, but I've never loved a game I haven't played myself this much. Anyway, this got me thinking about my favorite RPGs and favorite soundtracks, so I'm going to request this music selection. This is my all-time favorite track from my all-time favorite OST. I'm gonna go ahead and open that one up. Man, it's fun reading stuff. Like, when people are passionate about something, it's fun doing a reading. I like reading things out loud. It's such a... Ooh, Chrono Cross. Life Distant Promise. Which track is this? Like, I know Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross are kind of at odds with them, but I'll agree that Chrono Cross's music is something amazing. This is a song thing, right? You used to activate lavas or something, I think. Anyways, my question revolves around this, so your answer may be short. If you've never played it, I did play Chrono Cross. Did you ever play Chrono Cross? Yes. If so, what did you think about it? If not, did you play Chrono Trigger at least? I personally feel it is an underappreciated game, and I love the storytelling of the game so much. Wow, this was a lot longer than I intended. Oh well, toodaloo, how dude. Chrono Cross. One of the reasons why I got the PlayStation, ultimately. Surprisingly enough. The original PlayStation, of course. The main problem that Chrono Cross does is that it bills itself as a sequel to Chrono Trigger, while barely having anything to do with Chrono Trigger and creating an extremely different game in basically all things possible, which really so I've never seen a game kind of like fight itself so much as Chrono Cross did, and it's too bad because of this, people are unwilling to look at Chrono Cross on its own merit, and and the game seriously suffers for that. I love the general weird story, personally, even if it is a little bit over-complex. It has some of the best music in video games that I keep forgetting exists. The two Overworld songs are kind of like remixes of one another, and it's probably in my top 5 music in a video game ever. Except if you ask me randomly what's my top 5 song, I'll never gonna think about it, but as soon as I hear it again, I'm like, oh man, it's one of those rare songs that I listen, and I just gotta stop right there and there everything that I am doing. I just have to. It's that good. It is super great. I'm not gonna find it and link it for y'all because it's your job to find and link music apparently. But it's super easy to find and it's super good. And it's just, it needed to be its own thing rather than bill itself as a sequel to Chrono Trigger because it cannot compete and it's just too different. They are way too different animals and it's just too bad. If you don't mind a spoiler, one of the rare game out there, rare RPG, that not only acknowledges the existence of saves points, but actually it becomes a genuine plot device and actually becomes important later down the road. And that, to me, is super amusing. This is my opinion, kind of summarized, of Chrono Cross. Laptop 215! Hey, I don't recognize your name from these. Are you a new person? If so, hello. At 1 hour of last video. Interesting. If a robotic uprising brought on by a sufficiently intelligent artificial intelligence combined with a powerful enough set of electronics, robots, but also computer systems that hold the weather of the world, information and the like, were to conquer humanity, what makes you think that these robots and this AI would actually want to put in the work to keep humanity around? Thinking about it logically, absolutely nothing. Whenever I think about robots, I tend to kind of take for granted that the 3 laws of robotic would be applied for some reason. Because, no, it's true, like, assuming that robots and or an AI network is sufficiently evolved, sufficiently advanced, and has no more need, like, is self-sustainable, and doesn't actually need humans. If they see humans as a threat, or as an unneeded source of consumption of energy, then yeah, they have no reasons to keep us around. And we're probably gonna die, other than the fact that humans are extremely scrappy and will probably find a way to maybe survive if things kind of go well, but no, for sure. This is a real possibility. It's not something I would go about to say that I think about every day, though, but no, yeah. If there's no 3 laws in place, then there's no guarantee at all for human survival. That's just why would they need, if they don't need us, why would they keep us around? They're robots, they don't need pets, they don't have emotional attachments. It's all facts. It's all data. It's all numbers. Turns out humans are good at screwing up numbers. So you know what? Turns out humans, get out of my face. And this is how I've started a revolution back in 1855, but this is not what the question's about. So that's where my thing's gonna start. Dang it! Electronic pen, stop changing to either white or super light gray. Why did you keep doing that? Come on, man. Be more respectful of the person. Dr. Vermelsgriff! 1. If a magical being granted you access to your own private world of your design, what would it be like? For example, would it be nature-like, a cozy room, surreal, something completely ridiculous? The choice is yours. Probably more nature-like. Probably really fancy fantasy-style crystals everywhere, super nature-like. A lot of water everywhere, but like the gravity would be relative and or optional, so it'd be stuff floating everywhere, but ultimately would still be relatively sane enough for me to be able to navigate without becoming insane or something, because you got to put limits somewhere. 2, I asked this question on the Talk House a while back since I was just reminded about it. With which shift key do you use more often when typing, left or right? That doesn't include if/when it's used for controls in a game. Left one. Mostly left one. Depending on certain keys, I'm going to use the right, but I will favor the left statistically, I think. Never really thought about that. My favorite molecule is the current molecule which make up one fraction of the period at the end of this sentence. What? Also, this is just a minor request/suggestion. Would it be possible for you to read off the art request you've chosen at the start of the drawing process? Question mark, like I just did today. Hopefully this post isn't read out loud in the video because it would just be extra time away from other people's question. Happy face. No, this is not the first time this has been requested or mentioned in feedback, and seeing it in the question pile there made me remind to, like, that's totally true. I should totally, like, sometimes okay, so the reason why I wouldn't go into it is because I can't, dang, video player, don't change size, is that, like, I kind of like the surprise aspect, like, oh man, I wonder what Cal is doing, a boobily-doodly-deedly-doo, but when I'm sketching around and whatnot, I realize that it's not always super clear what it is that I'm trying to draw. And so, yeah, no, I agree. So I'm going to try and remember to say what the heck it is that I'm trying to accomplish every day. Well, every week. Maybe 2 weeks, depending on if I manage to finish or not on time. But every video where it's at a good spot. Meanwhile, Ryder, he's probably gonna have wizard questions. Zero cow, cat emoticon 1. On the mean streets of the internet, it is hard to forge. Okay, on the mean street of the internet, it is hard to forge mental images of the real person behind the internet combatant. How do you form images of people on the internet? I basically don't. I just see people as rough, foggy silhouettes. I am very dissociated from names on the internet for the most part. I don't know, it's at some point, like, I've talked and interacted and semi-interacted with so many internet digital people that I think at some point my brain gave up. It's just, some kind of existence. I don't know. That's just kind of how it goes. 2. What is your favorite April Fool's Day prank? This is several years back. It's an April Fool's prank on the internet. This was several years back. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with OC Remix. They had basically it's a place where people make remixes of video game music. Back in the day before, SoundCloud and before YouTube and all that, there weren't really any direct repositories for that kind of work until then. And, that was a thing. And anyways, on April the 1st, one year, they uploaded a whole bunch of really, really terrible, because OC Remix had like actual quality restrictions, uploaded just a bunch of really terrible pieces by fairly famous people in the community. Now that's kind of a lame gag if you think about it, but what I admire is the amount of work, because for the whole day, for the whole 24-hour period, anyone who would ask about this or mention April 1st at all anywhere in the forum would just have their messages silently deleted. And the amount of work, like, I'm talking about a community of thousands. Like, that's just the amount of dedication from a whole staff, that brings a smile to my face more than the actual gag, I guess. If you're talking about just pure gag, EGM playing with Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic and Brawl Melee, that's just the classic, and it worked on so many people so hard. 3. What is your favorite .com website? I suppose I cannot say my own. I mean, if you define favorite by amount of time spent there, probably YouTube, which is not a very good answer, I'm aware, but fact is, nowadays, there are less and less actual website. I know my answer, though. I just need to find it. I know nowadays, what is it? I, 'cause, I know nowadays, there are less and less actual website. Like, no, nowadays, what is it? Um, there it is. I know you can see like the end of things there. If you want to see Gundam, Build Fighters Gundam. No, that's not a website. That's a website I was thinking about. I hope it loads. I don't know. It's just kind of loading. Fight a base. But there we go. Oh, this changed a lot since the last time I came here. But basically, it is a repository of every single video fighting game character in the world. And there's like even like a repository of like all the individual moves, which I always thought was super hilarious. Let's see here. This changed a lot though. Is there still a moves? Dialogue. Moves, yeah, see you have a move section just for moves. So you can go like, oh man, this is so weird. I'm not used to how this goes. I would need to return to Fight a Base, but yeah, that favorite website, that is a website and not like a service, super multimedia. Everyone get here and you know, orient your life around this, please. Thank you. 4. I particularly enjoy the adventures in Star Tropic because how the game was fought by you and how it fought back. What makes you want to lampoon a video game? There's not really something that specific thing, you know? It's just a thing that happens. Sometimes it's just the same way that a game will manage to just get its hook in you just right, and you're just gonna feel it. The opposite can happen, you know, where it just hits the hooks just wrong enough, but not too wrong so you get disgusted or discouraged. Just wrong enough, and it's like all right, game. Them's fighting being, because there's no exchange of words or anything, but it's just a thing that happens. I would not be able to give you an answer there, unfortunately. But thank you for the kind words. 5. If a powerful wizard cursed you with an anime hairstyle for the rest of your mortal life, and some of your immortal life, what hairstyle would you want to minimize at least some of the damage? I'd go with Saitama, so that would just be bald, which I mean isn't the end of the world. I could pass off as a person that shaves his hair and just not have to worry about it. 6. What do you do to utilize the power of a blood moon when it draws near? You scream at it for hours. Make sure to bring some water because your throat is gonna be starch. 7. Sometimes swordsmen and other people who use blades cut symbols and letters into things, and it's kinda rude. If you follow the path of the sword, what would you artfully carve into things? A nice picture of a cactus, I think, would be kind of neat. Like a cartoon cactus, I think that'd be funny. Like, if I'm going to be damaging your property, hopefully I can make something cute out of it, you know? Just maybe, if we're lucky, you can see it as an improvement. I don't know. What is your blood type? I know I'm A, but I forget if I'm plus or minus. I would need to check my medical record, which somehow I just don't seem to have at hand. Like, who would have thought? Oh boy, Fariel has a giant megascope of text here about Undertale. So, oh yeah, I gave Fariel the task of telling me all about that spider fella that I saw the big page image. So here we go. Hope y'all ready to hear me read. Ask and ye shall receive. From me of the past to you of the future. The spider lady is called Muffet, and she has kind of an interesting history. As you may know, the game started out as a Kickstarter with a demo that shows you the first dungeon and basically gives you a condensed idea of what the game is about. The Kickstarter had, among other things, a reward tier limited to 2 people that will let them design their own bosses. One of them was taken by an inflation fetishist Fury whose self-insert boss was hidden away in the most ludicrous manner and got the artist a lot of hate from the fandom. The other was Muffet, who became the most popular character by far that's not actually relevant to the plot. Her deal is, Colin, in the demo, you had the opportunity to buy some healing food items from a spider bake sale. From spiders, for spiders, of spiders. Later down the line, in the full version, you come across another spider bake sale, except the spider selling them is person-sized and charging 9,999 G for anything. That's a lot of gravity. A few screens further, she gets you stuck in a web and attacks you because someone told her you hated spiders and hired to assassinate you. But if you survive for long enough, you learn that the bake sales are raising money to reunite the Spider Clan from the ruins at the start of the game and the Spider Clan of the Hotlands. In the end, she will receive a telegram from them that you have never harmed a spider or even supported their cause. The fight will also end if you eat anything from the earlier bake sale during the fight, or she won't even attack if you manage to buy something from her. She's kind of a terrible person who doesn't seem to care about anyone who's not a spider, making her easily the most alien of all the monsters you encounter. Anyway, the fight is super fun, and I recommend even just watching it. And yeah, high backlash is a treacherous thing. The game absolutely requires you to really want to play and get into it. So if you can bring yourself to free your mind of the incessant meme flood and take the time to really get to know it on your own terms, it will just be a bunch of silly jokes with sudden out-of-place dark twists thrown in. It's fine to treat it like Toho and just be a fan of the stuff you like about it without being a fan of the game proper. I think it's still worth it to set aside an hour or so to play the demo, though. At undertale.com/demo.htm. I saw someone seriously wonder if the main game really added anything to the statement the demo already made. So hey, you might just get pretty much the same deal for much less of an investment. But yeah, don't feel pressured. Just check it out when you have an hour to spare and you're like, hey, I'm curious about this thing or something. That was a lot of text. And I've read them all. No, honestly, I don't know, man. Undertale's probably one of the most fascinating things about that I don't think I'll ever actually consume the main product of. Like, it feels kind of like a modern-ish Toho. Like, it has the same thing where all the characters, like monsters. Like, one of the things that kind of sucked me into Toho is the fact that a lot of the characters are monsters, but lately, instead, they're like mythical figures and like people of legend instead, so I'm just kind of been trailing off. Then this, it's like everyone's a monster, so I don't know, man. I like monster, it turns out. That's who would have thought. Gregory Kikola, is there a game or a game genre that you respect and acknowledge as being really good, but that you personally do not enjoy playing at all? Games from the Universalis something another series, like super hardcore mega strategy style. I will not play one of these to completion or near getting anything ever in the history of mankind. But I do respect the quality and time and complexity that are in that genre of game. Buddy AOD is super into these, so I know a lot about what goes on in them. And it's really impressive. It's just not in my wheelhouse. Man, there's still a lot to go. Let's go. Kitikami. I do miss the single author's hack/games. The Magalek stuff is good, but after 2 or 3 months, it's easy to start to get pretty fatigued on it and be ready to move on to something new. Favorite molecule? Gotta go with carbon monoxide. 1 carbon atom, 1 oxygen atom, triple covalent bonded. It is slightly lighter than air, 28 grams per mole, melts at 68 K, and boils at 82. It seems like it should be perfectly innocuous. It's just 1 oxygen atom off of being carbon dioxide, which is a simple byproduct of breathing, and it's completely colorless, tasteless, odorless, which makes it pretty much undetectable by humans, except for the fact that it kills us. It also has a much lower greenhouse effect than carbon dioxide, so while it is much more potent, stealth in small doses against individuals, it is less ambitious in terms of global scale attacks, what makes it a good anti-hero. Does hearing about Vladimir Putin make people in Quebec think of Poutine? Yes. everyone makes the joke at some point while they are a child. They make it once, and it's done. Afterwards, you just don't really think about it. So think of it as a child level pun. Because, I mean, it's a word, it's a word, but as you grow older, you stop making fun of people for their name. Normally, typically, I hope. The Lovely Penguin. Out of the first Super Mario World ROM hacks who've ever LP'd, we're talking pre-YouTube. Are there any you'd consider playing again nowadays, aside from the VIPs or TSRP? This isn't a request or anything, I'm just curious if any of them stood out to you, struck you as good enough to warrant a replay. Maybe Luigi's Adventure, especially as it was remastered for, in what they call like the overseas edition, that had this like pre-translated to English and everything. I think that might be fun to re-explore, except I'm wondering if, in terms of difficulty, Luigi's Adventure might be aiming a little higher than what would be my comfort zone. Like, it wouldn't be the first thing I'd replay for sure. But, it's worth thinking about. Telemon, after you helped glue new sequins and Jesus Christ. After you help glue new sequins and stars to his hat, a powerful wizard grants you a boon. What will you do with your new cat-faced Mario sprite replacement? I will chain him to the yard and use him as a guard dog. He's gonna scare away strangers, and then when I go outside, I can pat his head and make him chase a stick around. It's gonna be great. Fariel! Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Muppet was designed by the artist behind Ava's Demon. Something tells me you might be familiar with that comic. I have no idea what that comic. Ava's Demon, what's that? Like, I don't think I've ever heard of that. Ava's Demon. What does that look like? That's a style. Looks very Adventure Timey. Let's check the latest one. Let's let no script run the comic. Huh, that's an update. I kind of digging the style though. Like, I won't spend like an eternity looking at this here. But I'll admit, there's something going on there stylistically. Oh no, coughing! I've been doing this for too long. My throat is destroying me. Why are you so self-destructive, throat? Ramo's nephew. What kind of Pokemon are you? I am a Tangela. B. How do you do the things you do? Share with me your secrets deep inside. Normally, I use my hands to handle around tools, and I use these tools to achieve specific goals throughout the day, such as keeping me clean, feeding me, and accessing the internet for various leisure and work-related activities. C. What kind of Pokemon are you? That clam guide, whose name I forgot the name. D. Are you loyal through and through? Mostly. E. And do you have a heart that's true? I don't know, I'm gonna... heart! Are you true? Well, considering that blood is circulating through my veins right now, I'm gonna have to assume that yes, it is there. It is thus true. F. What kind of Pokemon are you? A zucchini. Zach, my name is Bobobo, but you can call me Bobobo. What's your name? My name on the internet is Raocow. Pleased to meet you. Be Kamikaze is all. God dang, what's with all these darn wizards giving out blessings and gifts like it's nobody's business? Back in my day, we had to walk up a hill both ways before a wizard would even get off his magic flying roller skates and say, "Dude, there's nothing even on this hill, go home." Anyway, how do you feel about mods and modding in general? Like how on one end of the scale, there's one that slightly changed the UI or balance out some gameplay elements. Then there's some really dumb ones where you reskin important story characters into quote-unquote hot anime babes. talking to a guy who has spent several years of his life playing Mario ROM hacks. Like, what are Mario ROM hacks other than Mario World ROM mods, basically? I am totally into altering and creating new content of a pre-existing game. That's super great. And if you're into changing all your female characters into cleaned up anime versions, I mean, I'm not interested, but I'm not gonna go around judging how you want to spend your time. That's alright, that's pretty weird, but I mean, go for it. I'm totally for mods. I think mods are super great. I think they're super great. Like, what can I say? I like ROM hacks are just mods that use a different name. I don't know why. Why Marsane? Who's that Pokemon? Rayquaza. There's no punchline or anything. It's great. Cubic Tom. My favorite molecule is C2N14 because it's so totally ridiculous. The ratio of carbon to nitrogen tells you how explosive a molecule it is, with number of C divided by number of N, something equal 3, considering, okay, I don't even know what that sentence says. Well, if you have the same number in C and N, it seems to be stored in the fridge, and no more than 5 grams at a time. If C divided by N equals 1, I don't know, it says ampersand LT, like there's something in the copy and paste there. What does this mean? I don't know. I'm just gonna continue this way. If C divided by N something's 1, don't even try, and this is 0.14. C2N14 was made in the lab, but almost all attempts to measure its properties failed because it's so unstable. They tried to scan it with infrared, it exploded. They tried to move it to weight it, touching it caused it to explode. They tried to dissolve it to make it safer, it exploded in solution. There are 2 papers published on the molecule, but it's suspected chemists will never attempt to make it for measurements again. That is hilarious. And the name of the the name of the article is "Things I Won't Work With at Azido Azidus," more or less. Oh man, that's great. That is great. I'm glad I asked about molecules. I love learning about stupid things like this. Hello, Cow. Happy weekend. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yesterday I wasn't, but today I am. Just to be different than everyone else, I've got a question I'm going to post here and hope that you will answer it. What a crazy new idea! What are your thoughts on Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island in comparison to the original Super Mario World? Which do you feel has better level design, player movement, art style, enemies, and the likes? Yoshi Island and Super Mario World, I feel, should not be considered really sequels, even though they do share the same name, and one is clearly the name of the other with the 2 added to it. But they're just so different that they don't really compare. It's similar to earlier about what I said between Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Yoshi Island is a much more complicated game with a significant increase in verbs that you can do with your protagonist, much more complex enemy, and much more stretched out and complicated maps. Turns out I tend to prefer things on a more simpler edge of things, so I'm going to skew a little bit more towards Mario, but Yoshi Island is still an excellently designed game with a lot of untouched potential. I will say, though, that the art style of Yoshi Island is significantly superior to the admittedly fairly vanilla, fairly safe approach of Super Mario World, but that's to be expected considering when the context in which that game was released. Mick of Fire. After some thought, I feel kind of bad for linking "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" without much of a warning, so here's something nice to make up for it. I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm good at remembering things. Here's some music, though. Rats love cat! Woo! Oh man, look at that! Can you believe that? A rat and a cat can be friends? Well, there's your proof! There's the Big Fish Legend cutscene at the end of the game, Way to spoil the game. Look at that. Oh, look at that mousey. Well, it's a ratty, but whatever. It's just scamp around. It's like, oh, yeah, go away, other rat. I want to spend time with the kitty. A big old cat has face. Look at that face. It's like, yeah, hey, don't mess with the willy. The rat is the willy. He's his friend. Look at that. He's gonna clean it. Oh, he's cleaning it and or tasting it for later. I don't know. Actually, domesticated cats, you know, they tend to befriend. And look at that. They're playing. Oh, this is just adorable. This is the most adorable thing. Kind of goes on for a little bit though, but it's the most adorable thing. Rena Turnip, you exist? Who knew? Hey, Araucow. Fun bit of nothing before we get to music questions, but when you played my song a couple videos ago, only one half of the channels, left to right, I'm not sure which, came through. I wonder if you have weird recording settings or something. When I record for these videos, I am using the most plain setup possible due to the fact that I constantly being dragged over to the internet. So for the audio, I'm just literally recording off of my computer speakers. I love that you can't tell the difference because, okay, secret? Sometimes I do that when I record videos for real, for my real Let's Plays. Sometimes I record the audio directly, like you're supposed to. I love that most of the time you can't actually tell the difference. Alright, got myself a music link here I gotta put on the internet. Who would have thought this day would come? Nostalgia and Solitude. Parte dos. I don't know why it's part 2. What's the context for this? From Phantasy Star Online Episode 4, which I've never played. Alright. What? Nostalgia, that's sweet. This is a... I heard this somewhere. Is this a remix or something? Would make sense with Nostalgia, I guess. I guess it's just called Nostalgia music. Okay, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. It's pretty great. But like, oh my gosh, Cal, did you hear Claude from Trash Fantasy 7 made it into Smash instead of my favorite video game waifu? What was Nintendo thinking? This is an outrage. Oh my god, how horrible. Also, Powerful Wizard has replaced this paragraph with an actual question. Whoa! Surprise emoticon. Is there any special attack or super move in a fighting game that you just really love doing? Anything that feels really good to hit or confirm into, or just something that never gets old for you? Moves where your character becomes huge for no reason. Something as innocuous as Chan Super in Samurai Showdown 2, or hitting peeps in the Toho Fighter with Suika when you use the super that makes her giant. I'm just like, yeah! Now it's like maximum impact violence. Just, and it's super great. And I love it, and it just feels nice. There you go. I don't know what's wrong with me, but there you go. There we are. This is we. Hello. One last... Two questions left, but one last paragraph of question by Fariel. You started the thing and you end the thing. Are you perhaps linked with deities? Fariel. A couple of questions. What was it you were about to say about music in a minor scale? Would you elaborate on that? I like how the minor scale sounds. If a music has music, and then sometimes, you know, they do a thing, or in the song itself, it shifts to a minor scale, I fall for it every time. I think that is the best. I just like how it sounds. About French Canada, how strong is the overall connection people feel to France? Very little. Is French history taught more in school in other foreign countries? Are there people proud of their French heritage or such? Or do most people just speak the language without any deeper feelings towards the country it originated from? This feels kind of awkward in regards to the recent attack at Paris, but I'm assuming that never happened. Honestly, most French Canadians don't care much for France. Our history is much more linked with British, and a lot of our customs and like meals and stuff have a lot more to do with England than they have to do with French. All we got from France is a language, basically, and even then, the French Canadian French and Europe French has evolved so differently over time that it is very common for a Frenchman not to be able at all to understand what the Quebecois is saying, and vice versa. The difference is that strong. And, like honestly, our history classes were way more about relatively way more frequent history in Quebec and how that happened. And if we were to go about like, you know, medieval history and whatnot, then it would be Europe in general. It wouldn't really focus on France so much, but just the whole of what was going on context-wise. French Canada, Quebec is very, very distinct from France, and a big part of the history of the province was to distance ourselves as much as possible from France, because we have fought to be recognized as our own independent culture. So most people just don't care much for France at all, to be perfectly honest. And I do mean that in a somewhat negative light. Of course, no, everyone's a Frenchman nowadays because of the whole event, the whole very tragic event. But give it a few years and it'll be back to normal. Also, this isn't much of a question, but you mentioned something in an Scapegoat episode that I could kind of sympathize with. I'm getting better about it, but I used to have a big problem with not really considering the fact that I can change circumstances and just adapting to the way things are instead. Like, I don't have any money, guess I just can't spend any then. Also, I hope you don't forget to read the stuff I posted too late last time. I did! Thanks for commenting, Farrell. And finally, to end the video for this week, Maiku Wataharu, one last very important question. Could this be the last question for the video, please? Yes, it can, Maiku. Yes, it can. See y'all next time, y'all.